Hi, I'm Shane with Genesis Off-Road. We're here to show you a Jeep that we've been working on for a little while now. This video is meant to be an explanation of all the features on this vehicle for the owner, who is a volunteer on the Regional Disaster Response Team down in Florida. This vehicle was built specifically as a search and rescue vehicle. So some of the specifications we had when we started this project, the owner wanted a vehicle that could do the rescuing and not have to be rescued himself. So we did everything super heavy duty. This vehicle was built specifically to drive over house rubble and keep on going and get rescue first responders and paramedics into areas that are affected by storm damage, natural disasters, that sort of thing, where a normal rescue vehicle just can't get to, like an ambulance or a fire truck or even a bulldozer. So we're going to show you all the features on this thing. Maybe you'll pick up a few ideas for your own project. Genesis Off-Road is an authorized dealer for every one of the products that you're going to see here today. If you have any questions, please leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Okay, we're going to show you all the features on this vehicle. We got a lot to cover, so I'm going to kind of move fast. We're going to start from the front. We picked these 37-inch MTR with Kevlar tires. This is a really strong tire with Kevlar built into it. Inside the tires here, we've got ride-on tire sealant. This is a kind of a thick goo that kind of spreads out around the inside of the tire as you're driving. It keeps the tire in balance at all times. If you end up taking a chunk off of some of these treads, that tire sealant will redistribute and go to the areas that need to be balanced. It keeps your tires in balance. We've got the Trail Ready bead locks with the wide World Series ring and with recessed valve stems. Everything on this Jeep was powder coated tan. These are Offroad Evolution fenders, so the full body armor package is all from Offroad Evolution. These are super heavy duty 3/16 plate steel fenders. Up front we've got Drake hood latches, and this limb riser kit is from River Raider. Moving up this way, we built this bracket here for holding a couple of alley lights. This is a rigid dually spotlight and a rigid dually D2 floodlight on our custom bracket. This is going to be available for sale soon, our double dually brackets. Then this one is the Poison Spider Customs light bar bracket for the rigid 50-inch SR series light bar. We also use the rigid locking nuts to keep the light bar secure with another nylock nut on top of that, and this is holding the this is a kind of a custom fit mount for the limb riser kit. The other big striking feature on this vehicle is the hardtop. This is a Wild Boar Fastback hardtop that's custom painted to match all the powder coat items. The mirrors were painted to match the body color. We've got Tuffy security locks on the door hinges. Okay, so moving on back a little bit, we've got hooks on the B-pillar, and a lot of people ask us what this is for. The customer that owns this vehicle is a rescue paramedic, and he carries a lot of gear with him, a lot of bags, medic packs, that sort of thing. So when he's stopped, he's using his vehicle as a base of his operations for his rescue operation that he's working on. So this is just a convenient spot to hang his bags and gear bags. Down here we've got Rock Slide Engineering's power steps. What we did with this is we put a couple of off-road only light spots underneath these sliders, so that when you mash the unlock button on your keychain to open up the door, those lights come on to light up the ground below you, and then when you open the door, the step comes down, and then there's another LED light strip that lights up the step. Okay, so moving to the back, again, we've got the Offroad Evolution heavy-duty fenders. Anytime you do aftermarket fenders on the Jeep JKs, you're left with a really unsightly gap between the body and the frame, and that's because the inner fender liner, the plastic fender liner, has to come out to clear the new fenders. So what we decided to do on this one is build this new custom aluminum frame filler piece. This just rivets in place to the body, and this is just covering up the gap between the body and the frame. Now this one we notched around the TerraFlex speed bumps, and then you can see as you look around up this way, we notched this to fit around the body, and we'll show you how we kind of move this. Right down here, the factory body line came down like this. When you run a big tire like this, these are 37-inch tires with only 4 inches of lift. When you do that, you normally have to trim back a little bit of this pinch weld seam here so that you don't slice your tire. But what we decided to do here is to cut more of the body back. We trimmed this way back right here to follow the line of the Off-Road Evolution fenders all the way down. So now if you look at the side profile, you see that the body follows this line a lot better. And then our custom inner fender liners here, we just made these to kind of follow that line too, just to fill in that gap to keep the mud and grit and everything from getting up inside the frame. Now this is a two-piece kit that we built. This piece is riveted to the body because there's really no reason for this to have to be removed. This piece back here in the corner, we decided to make this a bolt-on with stainless hardware. So this piece right here can be removed. Right behind here on this vehicle is where we've got all the air lines and power lines routing up through this cavity behind the fuel filler neck, going up inside the vehicle and to the rear bumper. So we made this piece removable so that you can have easy serviceability behind there if you need to get to those hoses. And we also notched this to go around the Curry anti-rock sway bar. And we also had everything rhino lined for a little extra toughness. Okay, moving around to the back of the vehicle, there's a lot going on back here. So let me show you a few cool things. We got a couple of these little hooks here just for tying down ropes, securing anything, tents, tarps, that sort of thing. We got these scattered all over the vehicle. This is just a bottle opener just in case. We got off-road only light dot tail lights. We've also got the off-road only tag light, and this is also a third brake light. Right over here we've got a really nice air quick disconnect fitting. These are really nice because it's got a little button over here on the side. When you've got your hose plugged into this, you're going to push this button one time. That's going to release all the pressure on the line so that your hose doesn't just come out flying. It's going to leave the hose connected, just release the pressure, and then you just grab the hose and pull it off. So the rear bumper on this Jeep was custom built by Spider Off-Road. The customer wanted the bumpers to resemble the ones that they're putting in service on the H1 Hummers in Iraq and Afghanistan. So that's kind of the look that it's going for. It's got heavy-duty D-rings mounted to the bumper. It's got 4-inch rubber push blocks for pushing debris out of the way. A set of rigid dually D2 floodlights that come on with a reverse circuit and with a button on the dash. A set of Dixon bait toe jaws. These make it real easy for hooking up your toe strap. You just put your end of your toe strap loop right in there and slide the pin back in place. Makes it nice and easy for hooking up your toe strap. It's got a Warn 9.0 RC winch inside the rear bumper. The factory crossmember had to be removed, and it has a new custom crossmember in there, so the winch sits on the crossmember, not the bumper. So looking at the back door, the tire carrier swings open with the door. So some of the rubber little bump stops over here were replaced with these Vector Off-Road UFOs just to kind of clean up those holes in the door. So you can see here we've got a set of Max Track sand ladders. These are used to put in front of your tires when you're in the mud or the sand. If you lose traction, you can put these in front of your tires. We've got a really nice deep dish spade up here and a fireman's axe, and then a really large heavy-duty crowbar and sledgehammer combo. And then this is the real high-end, the really nice high lift jack, the first responder high lift jack. Okay, let's take a look inside the back of the Jeep now. Right up here you can see we added another light spot on the back door, on the back window. This comes on when you open up the back door. This is a Max custom tie downs storage box. This is a really nice toolbox for storing all the tools and equipment and gear, rescue gear. We had this box completely disassembled. We had it sent out for powder coat to match all the exterior pieces. We also had the interior of it rhino lined to keep some of the stuff from jiggling around and banging and clanking around inside there. And then we also added several extra of these little tie-down loops. These are really nice little features. You can slide these back and forth to put your bungee straps or your ropes wherever you need those to go. And then it has a padded top to keep your gear from sliding around on the top. In the back corner of the Jeep, we've got a couple of fire extinguishers, one on either side, with a set of poly-performance quick release mounts for the fire extinguishers. These make it real simple to get your fire extinguisher in and out. Over here is the winch solenoid for the rear winch, and right back here you can see the air intake vents, air intake filters for the onboard air system. On the back door we mounted a Vector off-road tailgate table. This just comes down to if you need a little extra room when you're working out of the back of the Jeep. If you want to install one of these in your Jeep with the Max storage box, we had to modify this just a little bit to clear the lock right over here. You've got a lock on the bottom of the Max box to keep it secured to the floor. So we just had to modify that for a little bit extra clearance. Okay, another nice feature that we added to this Jeep is a set of StarFab door latches. These let your Jeep doors open up just like regular car doors. It's going to hold the door open halfway, and then it'll hold the door open all the way. That's a really nice feature to add to the doors so they're not just swinging wildly. Now on the floor of this Jeep, what we did is we took all the interior out of the vehicle. We sprayed the tub and up inside the doors with lizard skin. We sprayed their heat reduction and their sound reduction material on the tub to help cut down some more of the heat and sound coming through the body. Okay, so the customer wanted the front bumper also to resemble the style that they're putting on the H1 Hummers in Iraq and Afghanistan right now. This front bumper was custom built by Spyder Off-Road. It has a set of rigid dually D2 floodlights on the outside, and then the inside pair are rigid, again, the dually D2 floods, but these are an amber lens, so these will cut through rain and fog. Obviously the most striking feature here is the two Warn 9.0 RC winches. And we get a lot of questions about why two winches on the front bumper. Well, there's a few reasons. Number one, the customer specified that he wanted to be the one doing the rescuing and didn't want to have to be rescued himself. So part of the reason is just redundancy. If you're using one winch, if it burns up for some reason, you've got a backup plan. The other thing is if you think about a storm damaged area, you've got a lot of buildings that have collapsed, maybe people trapped inside underneath rubble. If the scenario arises, you have the ability to run one winch up to a snatch block to an elevated position and then down for lifting, and then another winch for pulling something out of the way. The other reason is just for the extra capacity. When you run these two winches out to snatch blocks and then back to the vehicle, that doubles your pulling power, and with these 9,000 pound winches with the snatch blocks, that's going to give you 36,000 pounds of pulling power on the front bumper. It's also got a front-facing video camera that's tied into the lockpick system on the factory touchscreen on the dash. Over here is another quick disconnect air fitting for the onboard air system, and another set of the Dixon bait toe jaws. Up on top of the hood, just to kind of extend the look and feel of the Hummer look that the customer requested, we added this louver panel from Runcool hood louvers. We also removed the factory rubber windshield bumpers from the hood and replaced those with another set of Vector Off-Road UFOs. Even the windshield wipers were replaced. These are a set of sill blade, flex blade, silicone wiper blades that are really, really nice wiper blades. We also installed a set of truck light LED headlights. Now let's take a look under the hood and we'll show you some of the electrical upgrades we did. First we got to open up the Mopar hood lock. This is an accessory that's available over the counter at your local Jeep dealership. First time you put your ignition key into the lock, it will automatically set the tumblers to your ignition key. We've got a set of hood lift pistons that holds the hood up for us. Over here, this is our custom dual battery system. There's a lot going on under here. Let me try to explain a few things that we've got. We've got 500 amp fuses for each one of the winches. This one right here also feeds another fuse that runs everything inside the vehicle. This line feeds all the wired HDH switch panels to control everything inside the vehicle. Right here is a 1000 amp shunt. that's used to monitor the entire electrical system. This watches your voltage and your amp draw on the Xantrex battery gauge, and we'll show you that inside in just a few minutes. That's this lead right here. The Xantrex battery monitor is watching the amp draw across both of the batteries. Okay, over on the driver's side of the hood, we've got a lot of the circuits that control everything in the vehicle. This solenoid over here is a worn solenoid that controls the front and rear jumper cable circuits. This also feeds power to the winches on the front bumper. This one is our smart isolator that runs our dual battery system. This dual battery system is available on our website. We make this as a kit for the 2007 through 13 Jeep J case. Over here we've got the sealed relays for the air compressors, and then a couple fuses for the air compressors as well. And then we're real OCD about doing nice clean wiring. That's kind of our thing. We're kind of hung up on is clean wiring. So you see everything is routed nice and neat along here, and the high power wires going back over to the batteries are all routed inside of wire loom, nice and neat. We also added an extra factory switch here at the front of the hood. This controls a couple of off-road only light spots. These lights come on when you open the hood. This is a factory switch, but we had to modify this a little bit. This is all tied in with the factory CAN bus network system. So we had to remove a resistor inside of here to get this to work properly so that it didn't dim the lights under the hood. So we got all that working. Okay, now let's take a look at the inside of the vehicle and show you some of the things we did in here. Starting with the roll cage, this is an Orfab bolt-in roll cage. This is designed to stiffen up the weakest spot of the factory roll cage, which is right here at the corner of the windshield. If you were to roll this vehicle over in a stock vehicle, this is the weakest spot. This windshield would kind of cave down from the front corner. This roll cage just stiffens up and reinforces this major weak point. This cage goes down the door jamb and ties all the way into the floor. Also, we've got over here we installed a Tuffy secure glove box door. We've got a Koga PA system with an amplifier underneath the driver's seat. We've got the Rat Fink gear shifter knob that this customer really likes. The Rat Fink, he puts that on all of his vehicles. Down low here we've got a Daystar switch panel. This holds the boost switch for the battery system, so if one of your both of your batteries are too low to crank the vehicle by itself, you can mash this button here. It'll temporarily link the batteries together, so you got all the cranking capacity of both of your batteries. We've also got the alley light switches for the left and right alley lights. Up here we've got the Link Light battery monitoring system. This is what's reading the voltage and amp draw on your battery system. You got your air compressor switch here to turn on the air system, front and rear locker switches, and the air gauge. This is a dual needle air gauge that's going to show the pressure at the regulator. So we're set to right about 90 psi on the regulator, and the tank is fully charged up at 150 psi right now. Okay, up above the rear view mirror, we've got a couple of wired HDH switch panels that control most of the accessories in here. The bottom one controls the 50-inch light bar, the front floodlights on the bumper, the lights that light up the two winches on the front bumper, your rear floodlights, all the off-road only light spots under the vehicle, the red dome lights inside, your auxiliary gas tank, which also flips over the fuel gauge on the dash so you can tell how much gas is in the auxiliary tank. And then the rockets button, we just put that on there for fun. We couldn't find a label for the jumper cable switches, jumper cable circuits on the rear bumper, so we just decided to label that as rockets. Now the top wired HDH switch panel is entirely used to control the winches. Up here we've got the left winch in, left winch out, the right winch in and right winch out, and then both of the winches in, both of the winches out together, and then the rear winch in and rear winch out. Now this was a lot of work for us. It took a lot of research to figure out how to get both of those winches to pull in at the same time without burning the whole system down. We talked to Warren about it, got some wiring schematics, traced down all the wiring, got that figured out. Basically what you've got here is you're controlling the winches from 2 different switches. So this one controls the left winch and this one controls the left winch along with the right winch. So by doing that, we had to add a diode into the circuit so that you don't backfeed the power up the other switch circuit and burn the whole system out. So we got that nice and safe. Everything works properly. The winches pull in nice and steady together and go out together. It's a pretty cool feature. Now up top here on the center spreader bar from the Offroad roll cage, we added a Smitty built molly pack for storing all your flashlights and gear and all the little stuff that you want to have handy. Now the inside of the hardtop we had covered in a matching tan upholstery that also helps cut down on some of the heat coming through the top. Up top here we've got a level gauge, kind of see how far you're getting off camber when you're off-road. And the some of the trim pieces, the factory trim pieces were all silver. Now we didn't want to go too crazy with dressing up the interior, but we thought it would be nice just to bring a little bit of the powder coat color to the inside of the vehicle with the roll cage, the custom switch pod, and some of these trim pieces on the dash and the door, just to dress it up a little bit. And then in the center console we added another Tuffy security box. This replaces the factory liner for the center console. Now in the back on the roof we've got the Santa Cruz gun lock. This is a law enforcement grade gun lock. A lot of the police cars use these for keeping their shotguns and rifles secure in the vehicle. Inside the vehicle we've got a hidden switch that will unlock this. As soon as you put your the buttstock over here on this side and put the barrel up here and latch the lock into place to hold it in place, that locks automatically. The hidden switch, when you press that, it will unlock the gun lock for just a few seconds. That gives you time to hop out, grab the gun. This will pull back to release. And if you don't grab the gun within a few seconds, it will automatically relock itself to keep it secure. We built this custom bracket here for mounting the gun lock on top of the Offroad roll cage. Okay, now we're looking underneath the front passenger seat. And this is really the brains of the whole operation. We built this slide out drawer here under the seat to make everything, all the wiring, really accessible and serviceable. If any changes are needed to the switches or the electrical system in here, this makes it nice and easy to service all the electrical systems. These are the wired HDH automatic resetting circuit breaker boxes and relays. These are tied into the wired HDH control boxes that program the switches above the windshield. What we tried to do here is make the wiring really nice and clean and simple. It looks nice and simple the way it is now, all finished, but it was a lot of work getting it to this point. We got one main feed coming in, feeding a power distribution block under here that feeds the power to everything inside the vehicle. Also up underneath the seat here is the control box for the Rockslide Engineering sliders and everything else that is not connected to the wired HDH switch panels, and we'll show you that right over here. Now on this side of the front passenger seat, we built an access panel to hide all the electronics for everything that does not run through the wired HDH switch panel. So we got these easy to access thumb screws we can pull off of here to access this panel. Pull this little door out of the way and we'll show you. Down here we've got a custom fuse panel and relays, micro relays. Another relay over here for the gas tank. A couple more relays over here for some of the other circuits. Again, we wanted serviceability in mind. We wanted it easy to access all the electrical systems, easy to make changes, easy to make additions. There's extra circuits in here that are still hot. There's extra switch wiring in the Daystar switch panel up there for adding additional switches in the future if they are needed. So we really wanted to make this entire vehicle easily serviceable by anyone else. If this vehicle has to be serviced at another shop, we want to make it nice and easy for them. All of our wiring is labeled for easy identification. We've also got labels on the heat shrink tubing on every single wire under here. So if you have to do any changes, moving wires around, rearranging the switches, it's really easy to identify, what's going where. Okay, on the 2012 and up JKs, if you decide to upgrade the gears in your axles, because of the new 3.6 liter engine and the computer, it's going to send the computer into limp mode because you're changing the gears. Now, to fix that, what you need is the AEV ProCal module. This is from American Expedition Vehicles. This little computer chip here has a series of dip switches on the back. Using the quick reference chart and setting each one of these switches, you can change things like the gear ratio, your tire size to fix the limp mode issue. And it also does several other handy features like changing the options for lane change with your blinkers, your daytime running lamps, and several other cool features. All right, now we got the Rescue Jeep up on the lift. There's just as much going on underneath this thing as there is up on top. So we're just going to kind of start from the front here and show you what we got underneath this thing. Starting at the front, you got TerraFlex, the CRD 60, Dana 60 axles. These are packed with the 538 gears. You got heavy duty everything under here, adjustable track bar, heavy duty drag link and tie rods. We did not decide to do RCVs on this one specifically because this one is not going to be seeing a lot of high articulation and heavy stress loads with turning the tires like you would see in the rocks. So the standard U-joints on the axles are just fine for this vehicle. Tucked up inside the bumper here, we've got two amplified PA horns that are nice and loud for calling out sirens. You got sirens built into these and talking to people outside the vehicle. You've got limit straps just in case this thing does get a little bit wild through the bumps. Limit straps will help protect these shocks. We've got painted springs. This is a TerraFlex 4-inch suspension system. This is a hybrid model between TerraFlex's pre-runner kit and their Elite LCG kit. We talked to TerraFlex, told them what we were doing, kind of put together a custom suspension package just for this Jeep. So you can't really buy this suspension package as a kit from TerraFlex. But let's go around this way and we'll show you a little bit more. Okay, so continuing on with the suspension, we've got the long arms from TerraFlex. You got heavy duty drive shafts. We got the Elka remote reservoir shocks under here. These are this is a complete aluminum skid plate system from River Raider, and this is where you're going to change your oil by just removing these three recessed bolts right here. Over here we've got the TerraFlex Big Brake Upgrade Kit. This includes the larger slotted rotors and 4 piston calipers for helping to stop this big beast. Okay, so moving back a little bit, right here is where the stock evap canister used to be. This was relocated over the rear axle. Here we've got a new custom-built skid plate to match the rest of the River Raider skids. This skid plate is made out of 3/16 steel and then with some reinforcements built in to add some strength. This is home to the onboard air compressor system. We've got 2 Viair air compressors back here at the back. The air intake vents are routed up over the cross member and then inside the vehicle, so it's pulling its fresh air from inside the vehicle, not outside. Here we've got a single onboard air tank. This is about a 2.5 gallon tank. We really wanted to put more than this, but we just completely ran out of room. Right here is a custom air manifold system that we laid out to run air to everything. This is your pressure regulator. We filled the tank up last night to test everything, and you can see it's still holding, the regulator still holding 90 psi. This regulator feeds air to the front and rear bumper quick disconnect fittings, your rear ARB locker and the front ARB locker. And again, everything is built with serviceability in mind, so this whole system can be disconnected. The electrical system can be disconnected with this weather pack connector. Moving on up to the front of the tank up here, you can see this line feeds our air manifold. This line down below the T here is going up to inside the vehicle to the dash to the air pressure gauge. And then on the other side of the tank in the back is your safety relief valve. And then we'll show you, let's back up just a little bit and we'll show you the drain for the tank. Condensation is an issue with all air compressor systems. So we've got a remote drain right here on the inside of the skid plates here, of the rocker skids. So you just twist this, and that'll release any condensation that's in the tank. We kind of tuck this back up here out of the way. Okay, now because of all the extra accessories and all the parts that we've got underneath this vehicle, the exhaust was a real issue. We've got a MagnaFlow 4-inch round tube muffler. Now this thing does make a little bit of noise. You know, it's not as quiet as a stock vehicle, but you can see here we're really constrained on space. So we also wrapped all these air lines with some heat shield foil tape, and then the entire exhaust system from the headers all the way back we shipped out to Jet Hot Coating in Oklahoma City and had them jet hot dip the entire exhaust, including the muffler, to help cut down on the heat under here. We also wrapped it from right here close to the air system all the way back with this header wrap material to help cut down some more of the heat. And if you come around this way, you can see how we routed the exhaust around the springs in the back. Now, one thing that's interesting that we kind of customized on this with this exhaust, we called GenRight to talk to them about how to get the exhaust around their auxiliary gas tank in the back here. GenRight told us that they never tried to do that before. So we, through a lot of trial and error and measuring, were able to get the exhaust routed all the way around the spring and then out the back. The exhaust follows the bottom of the frame and does not stick down any lower than the gas tank skid plate does. Okay, here you can see by the back tire how we got the exhaust routing out the back. We got a hanger here that's using the stock mounting location for the original brake mounting tabs. It was right up here. And then if you swing around to the side, you can see that the exhaust doesn't hang down any lower than the skid plate for the gas tank. Okay, let me show you what we did with the evap can and the gas tank lines. Right up here you can see this is the main filler neck coming from the your main fuel filler where you put your gas in. This section Y's off right here, so you can see the gas is going to flow over here to the stock tank and over to the GenRight tank at the same time. So there's only one fill location and it's going to fill up both tanks at the same time. You've got some extra hoses here with some T-fittings. This is all for tying in the vent lines and the evap canister. This is a custom bracket that we built to mount the evap way up high out of the way. You got a lot of other hoses up here for the air intake vents that are going up inside, and some of these other hoses are for the rear bumper connections, the quick disconnect for the air fittings. Okay, now at the very back, here you can get a better look at these good looking Elka shocks with the remote reservoirs. Over here you get the TerraFlex speed bumps, the bump stops. Here's your sway bar with the, this is a Curry anti-rock aluminum sway bar on the rear. This was necessary in order to help clear the GenRight 20-gallon auxiliary gas tank. This is the TerraFlex heavy-duty track bar for the rear on another CRD 60 rear axle, again with ARB lockers and 538 gears. Okay, here on the back bumper in the rear wheel well area, you've got a Warn quick disconnect. This is used for jumper cables. If you got a set of jumper cables with this kind of Anderson power pole quick disconnect fitting, you can plug right into here by yanking the dust cover out. Right up here, again with serviceability in mind, this is a WeatherPack quick disconnect fitting. This is providing power and ground to everything on the rear bumper. Okay, now we're looking above the exhaust on the left rear tire. This up here is the power distribution block that's feeding electricity to everything on the back of the vehicle, including the winch and the jumper cable quick disconnect fitting, and as well as all of the lights on the bumper.